What's up, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of What We Talking About on Wednesday. What time? It is the first episode of 2021 of What We're Talking About on Wednesday, and I'm so excited to be back in front of the camera. So excited to be talking with you guys and sharing my opinions again and hearing what your thoughts are. I took a long hiatus in 2020 because, well, COVID, the pandemic, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, just so many things were going on. It was a heavy time, and I just didn't feel like it was right to be talking about frivolous social things going on in, the pop culture world and, fast news world, I call it. So I didn't want to continue, and I honestly didn't have the energy to continue. But I'm back, and I want to bring back a lighthearted energy to 2021 for myself and for you. And there's a lot to talk about. So I want to jump right into it. Let's get to the topics. So you're going to see me with my little notepad here, trusty notepad. So let's jump right into it. So the current topic of discussion, well, as I'm recording this, the current topic of discussion right now is the storming of the White House by Trump supporters. And the fact, I don't even know, because I wasn't prepared to talk about this, but the simple fact that these people have not only had the gall but audacity to want to storm the White House, but the fact that they made it into the White House and, are just being very, I feel like it's like the start of the purge. Like, when the bell rings for the purge and everybody's running in and running around and acting like they've lost their heads and they want to kill everybody. That's what the White House looks like when you look at clips of it. And I'm at a loss for words as to what they think they're going to accomplish by doing this, honestly. And hey, somebody might know more about it than I do, because I honestly did not look at social media or the news today. I was tapped out. So I just feel like if this is just because Trump is coming out of office, you all really have nothing else to do with your time. And, to see the lack of police force and movement on these people, the way that we saw with protests last year. I mean, if you're trying to tell me that that US isn't inherently racist, I'm sorry, at this point, how can you prove your point? You're going to tell me that people go to the country to live a better life? Sure. But when you have proof in the privilege of the actions of the people today, that there's a very vast difference in how people of color are treated versus white people in America, I just, Anyway, I wasn't going to get political in this video, so that's all I'm going to say. Let's jump into what I planned on talking about. So the first thing I want to talk about is Kimye, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. As we all have heard, officially they're getting divorced. And I want to be like, this was a long time coming. I don't know how Kim, I get it. You want to be a ride or die. You want to stand by your man. But I feel like Kanye West has some deep, dark issues he needs to deal with. And he proved that to us a while ago. And for the safety of herself and her kids and for his benefit, I felt like she should have severed ties a long time ago. When they spoke to Kanye, he said that he had no, what's the word? He had no plans to reconcile with Kim or meet with her in LA in their LA home. He was already checked out. And then they came back and Kim's people said that she's checked out and is the one that's pushing forward with the divorce. Then they kind of came out again and said that Kim and Kanye had gone to counseling and they've tried, and now they've decided that they're going to split up. But I feel like we knew this was happening from all of 2020. No offense to Kim and Kanye, but the front you guys were putting on wasn't fooling anybody. Like, Kanye needs real help, and I don't want to say much bad about him other than I pray that he gets it. And for the kid's sake, I hope that he finds peace in whatever he's going through, whatever demons he needs to deal with, that he can find peace and they can, co-parent in a healthy manner. Because I feel like Kanye has the ability to kind of make things ugly if he wants to. And his kids aren't young. Like, social media is not going to be hidden from them. So there's that. The next thing I want to talk about is in Canadian news. There was a video going around, you've probably seen it by now, where a Mississauga man was caught stealing a package from someone's porch and promptly decided when he was caught, he he decided he was going to run back to his car. License plate is not covered. It's clearly his car. It's like a Focus, Ford Focus or something small. Not tinted windows, nothing. He's wearing a mask, runs into his car, reverses into a snowbank. Clearly no traction on his tires. Can't move his car. Jumps out of his car. Starts to try to dig his car out while the man whose porch he was trying to steal the package from is recording him. And he's like, the cops are on the way. You better give up. The whole time my man is digging himself out of the snowbank just for the cops to show up and arrest this fool. Now, here's my question with that. First of all, you are dumb. You are really dumb to be trying to steal broad daylight. It's quarantine, so people are home, a lockdown, I should say, and people are home waiting for their packages, and you're gonna in broad daylight try to steal someone's package off their porch. You're lucky all he did was record you, because I would have booped you upside your head. I wait for my packages. Like, when my package is on its way, I'm one of those people out the window looking for it. So to find some little crackhead fool trying to steal your package, and then to get caught in a snowbank, like, you are so... It was embarrassing to watch, but hilarious at the same time. And I honestly feel like if it was me, I don't think he would have gotten away. He wouldn't have gotten to his car. Like, and I know it's like it could be something as small as a pack of pens in the box. I don't care. It's my package. I spent my money on it. It could be $17, $7, $20. You don't steal my shit. That's just not... Anyway, so he was arrested, and I hope he gets laughed at. And if you're watching this video, you are dumb. Like, really dumb. Anyway, moving on. The next thing I want to talk about is something that, honestly, it's not in like the top headlines, but it's something that I find to be confusing because my fiance was a boxer. I don't understand it. So Floyd Mayweather Jr., one of the top boxers of our time, has decided he's going to fight old YouTube creator, if you will, call him that, and current boxer Logan Paul. I honestly feel like this is just a smudge on his legacy, if you will. Like, you've boxed with the greatest. Now, the simple fact that you bounced back and decided to fight what's that guy? I can't even remember his name now. He's so irrelevant. The Irish guy or whatever. Yeah, I can't remember his name. Anyway, that guy, the simple fact that you came out of retirement to fight him was one thing, but at least he was in the industry of fighting, whatever. But Logan Paul, you're letting little YouTubers turn boxers call you out, man. You've got money stacked probably as tall as him. For what? Like, are you trying to... I'd love to be a fly on the wall in Mayweather's, gym or home or whatever to find out what his logic is behind this. Like, are you trying to remove yourself from the boxing industry by letting these young bucks call you out and fight? Like, are you trying to have them prove that you're done and beat you so you could be like, okay, this young guy beat me, I'm done? Like, what's your game plan? Like, what's your motive for letting Logan Paul, can't believe I'm saying his name, call Mayweather, Money Mayweather, out? Like, legendary boxer. I don't understand it. I think it's embarrassing. Obviously, I'm going to watch, but if Logan wins, oh my God. Then I don't even know. Like, and you're also letting this little dirtbag make bank off of your name. Obviously, if you're trying to come up, you're going to call out the biggest, baddest there is. But that doesn't mean you have to respond every time somebody calls you out. Like, if you know you're this high and this guy's this high and he's calling you out, let him work his way up to call you out. This guy's had, what, one fight maybe? Like, one professional, like, televised fight? And now he's calling out Money Mayweather and you're answering him? If that were me and he was calling my name, I would not even bat an eye in his direction. But I don't know what Mayweather's thinking. Maybe it's a male pride thing. I don't know. That's my opinion. Yeah. So, moving on to more current topics. I'm going to preface this by saying I am not a big Bachelor and Bachelorette watcher. However, I did watch Rachel Lindsay's season. She was the first black female Bachelorette. I guess it's biased of me. Sure, call it what it is. And there is now, finally, after 25 seasons, the very first black Bachelor. And his name is Matt James. And I was not going to watch this season, but I watched a little interview on him, and I've kind of seen him on social media. So I looked him up and I decided, you know what? I'm going to check out his first episode. And I've got a lot to say about it. So I'm going to jump from this topic to something else that's currently relevant. And then I'm going to jump back into it and talk about the first episode. So spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about The Bachelor first episode in just a moment. But jumping into other information, as we all know, we are living currently in a pandemic, or a panoramic, or a pandemonium, as some people have been calling it, because we're tired of it. But Corona is still wreaking havoc on us all. Currently in the States, there are funeral homes that are turning families away because the bodies are piling up and they can't house any more bodies. They can't house any more grieving families. That's like the sickest thing to hear. I don't know about you, but to me, knowing that I can't even have a funeral for my loved one because there are too many bodies and the funeral homes can't, meet the demands because of social distancing and the number of bodies piling up. It's like, when are we gonna get it? When are anti-maskers gonna get it? So there's that. Arizona is currently the leader in cases in the U.S. In Ontario, we're not doing too hot ourselves. The last time I checked, which was yesterday, we had 3,100 cases, and it's just the number of cases is apparently because of New Year's and New Year's Eve. I know I stayed home. It was me, my fiance, and my cat, but other people, people are going to do what they want to do. And that's the hard part, because you don't want to punish people, but because you want people to be wise enough to realize this is not a joke, but some people are taking it, make big jokes. And so that's in Ontario. In Quebec, I don't know if they've announced it. They probably announced it by now because it's after 6 or after 7. They're going into like a full-on lockdown, which for Quebec and Montreal, I feel like is like necessary because their numbers were rampant for a while. They're going into a full lockdown with the potential of a curfew. I obviously, like I said, I haven't checked the news since I've been home. So I don't know if the lockdown is officially happening, or sorry, the curfew is going to be into effect, but I feel like it's going to. And Rob Ford here in Ontario said that a curfew is not off the table for Ontario. So I feel like people need to stop making light of this. This is not a joke. Even if you don't believe it, you can still social distance to respect others. You can still social distance to respect the people who are being affected by it, to respect the fact that our healthcare system is being overloaded. The hospitals are being filled with people that, doctors are working double, triple time. Like, if you don't believe in the coronavirus, that's one thing. But can you believe that it's affecting other people? Can you believe that? Can you not see that? Like, I don't know what else needs to happen. I feel like God is just going to do Control Alt Delete and wipe us all out. Because we're not doing a good job here on Earth. I don't get it. But anyway, enough of Corona talk. I want to jump into The Bachelor. So spoiler alert, I'm talking about the first episode and what I gathered from the first Black Bachelor, Matt James. So Matt James is biracial. He's 28 years old. He is, I think he said commercial. He's a commercial broker. And that's cool. Says he's never been in love, which for a 28-year-old male, I feel like it's not like, nowadays, it's not like a weird thing because people play too much out there. That's why I'm glad I'm not in the dating world. But anyway, he, because he's the first Black Bachelor, he feels pressure, obviously, I think that would be obvious, to pick someone that everyone is happy with. I think there are going to be Black people who want him to pick a Black woman. There are going to be white women or white people who want him to pick a white woman. And there's going to be a collective who are going to root for him to pick whoever he loves. And that's where I fall. I feel like Matt James is, while he's a Black male, he's biracial, but while he's considered a Black male to the world, I don't feel like he needs to choose his love to appeal or to appease anybody, because it's his individual life. It's his individual day-to-day. And I don't feel like we as a community, and I'm talking to the Black community, needs to put pressure on him like that. Like, he seems like a sweet guy. He grew up in a single household with his mother, and his father wasn't really there. And he doesn't know what love is. So while he's figuring out how to be vulnerable and how to love and how to find real love, why do we need to put the pressure of an entire race on his back? I don't feel like it's fair. And I'm going to be rooting for him to find and fall in love with who he wants to fall in love with. Now, I watched the first episode, so I have a few people that I'm going to make mention of, and I'll pop their pictures up as I mention them, who kind of stick out to me. But one of the things that, something else I noticed about him, when he first started talking, I didn't find him attractive. I was kind of like, but the more I looked at his face and, you know, the more you see him, and especially I think him being vulnerable, I started to see the appeal to him. He is tall, dark, and handsome. I think my favorite thing about him right now is his dimples. He's got some crazy dimples. He's got a nice smile, good height. He looks like he's like bloody 6'5". But yeah, there's something to be seen about Matt James, and so I'm excited to see more of his personality come out. He kind of gives me like a nerd vibe, and when he was on one of the one-on-ones with one of the girls, he said he was in the chess club, which I was like, okay. He gives me, and forgive me for saying this, for anybody who, you know, doesn't agree with me, he gives me vibes of Stefan Urkel. Like, you know, when Steve Urkel was Steve Urkel and then he changed to Stefan Urkel, I feel like that's the vibe that Matt James gives me. Like, I feel like he went into some sort of chamber, still a nerd deep in his core, but came out and he's like, oh, like, okay, if I put on a suit, I'm kind of handsome. And I think that's endearing. I think that makes him sweet. I don't really think it's a bad thing. I wouldn't want him to be super suave and super like into himself, because then you don't root for them the same. And I guess that's unfair, but I feel like he exudes confidence, but not in a gross, like relaxed kind of way. What else do I have here? They said that this is the season where most women have applied to be on The Bachelor ever. And they have, I think Chris Harrison said 32 women, which is the most they've ever had, which I think is pretty cool. But for a guy who's never been in love, that he's going to have a lot of women to be going through. What I gathered from his one-on-ones was that he's a good listener. And I find his opening ceremony speech was really sweet and endearing. Again, he said a prayer, which I think is just, I feel like that's something that you don't see often, and I feel like is super duper sweet. So far, I'm rooting for Matt James. Now, for the ladies, the first lady who kind of stuck out to me was Sarah. I found her to just be visually beautiful. I don't remember if she said much on the one-on-ones that kind of stood out to me, but I remember her being, you know, a pretty girl, and you know, that appealed to me. So I'm kind of rooting for her. The next girl I'm rooting for is Mari. She's Venezuelan. I think she said it was Venezuelan, or forgive me if it was not Venezuela. Anyway, she said she was from some country. And I thought, first of all, stunning, gorgeous. But as she started to talk to him, I found that I feel like there's more to her. And so she kind of stuck out to me too. The next person was Maggie. She said that's what you could call her. She's a pharmacist. I found her to be visually beautiful as well. I like that she's culturally different, has a bit of an accent, but still stunning, and clearly came here to make a better life for herself. I thought she was beautiful. So I'm rooting for her as well. Then we have Kaale, the pickup truck girl. I like that. I mean, if you're going to make a first impression, nothing like, you know, getting down to the roots of who you are. And she's also from North Carolina, like Matt James. So I thought that was a cute little nod to where she's from. And I think it was a good kind of way for them to connect. And also, my God, I think she's gorgeous. Like, yay for her. The next girl who stood out to me was Alana, the spaghetti girl. Like, that was a cute way to, you know, if you're making first impressions, I thought that was cute. When I looked her up, it said she's from Toronto. But online, it says she's from, I think, Texas. So I don't really know. But either way, I thought she was pretty, and I liked her her way of being remembered by Matt James. The next person who stood out to me was, I call her Miss Lingerie, was Kaale. My girl came out in her panty and bra and robe, silk robe. And I'm like, you gotta be bold AF to do something like that when you're just getting to know somebody with women all around you judging you. I don't know if I could have, no matter how confident I am in my body, I don't know if I could have done that. So kudos to her. She got chosen, so we'll see how she opens up and we can get past that moment. The next person that stands out to me is Abigail. From the moment Abigail introduced herself, I was like, oh, I love her, because she just has a sweet energy about her. And then she started to tell Matt James about her hearing, and, you know, she spoke so well, and for him to remember that and later speak to her and be like, ask more about that information. I thought that was really good. I really like their connection, and she's my top choice right now. I'm really rooting for her, and because she got her first impression rose, I was like, yes, Abigail, get it, girl. So rooting for Abigail right now. The next girl who stood out to me was Lauren. She seems smart, pretty. I'd like to see her open up more and see a more vulnerable side for her. The next girl who stood out to me was MJ, or the pizza car girl. I like that she made a flub and that they showed it, because I think that also makes her stand out as well. And I thought she was really beautiful as well. And the last person who stood out to me was Miss Queen Victoria. Now, Queen Victoria stood out to me for the wrong reasons. I was not a fan of her from, like, when she showed up with her men carrying her, I thought, okay, that's a good way to stand out. But when she was dealing with the other women, first of all, I thought she was either drunk or on something, because like she was like, her hair tiara was messed up, her makeup seemed like it was like smudged and running, and the way she was speaking and talking and moving and being so aggressive with women, I was like, is she on something? Like, I was not. And that, I don't know if maybe that's just how people handle, first meeting a group of women, because it can be intimidating, but I really got a weird vibe from her, and I could tell that the other girls did as well. And when she was, interrupting to have her first conversation, I was like, okay. But then the second time, knowing other girls hadn't, and she was like, I'm just going to do it because, if I want to have time with him, da-da-da-da. I can understand that. But you're pitting yourself against the number of women right off the bat, and you have to coexist with these women. Yes, you're all vying for the attention of one guy, but I think she did a bit too much. And she was not somebody I was hoping who was going to get a rose. But she did probably stand out for her entrance and speaking to Matt James twice. And, he's going to weed through the not so greats and the greats. That's how it's going to go. But honestly, I'm actually looking forward to this season, and I'm going to keep up with it. So this is going to be a part of my weekly What We're Talking About on Wednesdays episode. So I hope you look forward to it. I am done talking your ear off for today. I will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.